What's up, everybody? My name is Joy Moya. I'm going to share with you an artistic testimony of memories that have helped to define what I observe as beauty marks. I have divided these reflections into 13 chapters. Let's begin with Chapter 2, Daddy Issues. Alright, so meet Alonzo, my father. The only pictures I have of him are the ones that I took. He wasn't active in my life. I saw him maybe 5 or 6 times growing up. He never called me. I always called him when we spoke. He never came to visit me at my house when I was growing up. I always went to wherever he was. He moved to Arkansas when I was about 14. When I went to Mississippi for the summer, I would find a way to visit him. Once I found out how close he was to where my grandmother was. My mother never said anything bad about him other than he was short and cheap. She also made it clear to me that he denied me and said that I couldn't be his daughter because he had a vasectomy. Now, she did praise how mild he was. They never argued and he never abused her. She did experience some abuse from her marriage. She was married to my brother's father. She was not married to my father. I was a oops baby. I guess you can say, or the saying is, I was born into sin. I wasn't born of the kingdom. So I'm an adopted son or an adopted child of the kingdom, I guess you can say. I do understand that part of it, but I was still respectful and hopeful that he would embrace me, as his child. That didn't really happen until I was about 17 or 18. And even then, I don't feel like he loved me or really believed that I was his child. But I kept trying and kept calling and kept going to see him. I kept trying to love on him and just be around him and accepted by him. It wasn't until I was engaged to be married that he made a trip back to Chicago and finally stayed with me. He even made it back to walk me down the aisle and see the property I had been blessed with. He begged for grandchildren and a picture of me with a big belly. I almost made it happen, but no cigar. For some reason, I felt like he preferred a son. One time when he came to visit, I went with him to his favorite bar on the north side where he used to live. I think it was somewhere around Chicago Avenue and LaSalle, in that area. I also took him to the strip club, and of course he came with me to karaoke because karaoke was my thing at the time. I believe he gave in to accepting me when he saw how his family was warming up to me, how they were accepting me. I had an uncle named Leo who stepped in as best as he could. He was like my favorite uncle because he just made me feel so welcome and a part of the family. He stepped in like a father figure. He took me to a mechanic shop when my car had trouble because I had no idea like what to do or where to go. He took me on family trips with him and his wife, and he made sure that I was picked up, when I wanted to come over to his house. So I was so grateful and so thankful. I was about 15 the second time I had met him and his wife and began the relationship from that point. The first time I was about 10 or 11. I didn't remember at the time, but it was the same time that I had met my paternal grandmother, 2 of his sisters, and my sister. My sister and I never stayed in touch. There was a point in time, like after my father died, someone managed to get in touch with my sister. and no one told me about it. No one told me about it until my uncle, I guess someone, I forget who it was, but somebody helped me realize that my sister didn't want to be in contact with me. She didn't want to have a relationship with me. She didn't want to be in contact with me. So I felt some type of way. I really felt some type of way. And I must admit that that has affected me a great deal. Actually, you will find as I go further into these chapters how my family relationship, my family dynamic, and just coming to the revelation of how my family actually saw me and treated me affected me once I realized what was going on, what was being said, and what was being done. Alright, so this is a picture of me at my college graduation. This was the day that I had to make the decision whether or not my father would have life-threatening surgery. He had swelling on his brain from diabetic shock or something like that, and I had to make the decision because I was his next of kin. He told me that he had about maybe 10 children. I don't know if it's true or not, but I'm the last one. I am the baby. I am the only one who tried to keep in contact with him and the family. So I do know of an oldest sister. Her name is, I can't recall her name right now, but I'll know it if I hear it. But for some reason I'm drawing a blank. Oh, Bernadette. I have a sister named Bernadette. And yeah, I have a sister named Bernadette. Okay, so once when my dad died, again, he died on my mom's birthday. All right, so I was in Arkansas at the hospital. I had a friend who searched for a plane ticket for me and helped me get a plane ticket. I spent everything that I had on, the festivities and the celebration for graduation. I paid for everything that I needed as it pertains to graduation, and then getting a hotel room and what have you. And I just didn't have the money for a plane ticket. I searched for a plane ticket, but I couldn't find one that was affordable. So I had gotten a Greyhound ticket, and I paused the video because a train was coming by. Okay, so yeah, I purchased a Greyhound ticket. I would not have made it to the hospital had I taken the Greyhound. It would have taken about a day and a half for me to get there, and I needed to be there immediately because it's just how crucial it was. So I made it there. I made it there just hours before he passed away. Okay, so when he passed away, I had to make all of the arrangements. I had to decide on the services. I had to handle all of his final bills or business. I had to do that. I cleaned out his apartment. I did that with the help of one of his sisters and another aunt. And during that time, I was not treated really well. I think, one of my aunts, who it was the baby sister, she was angry and she was hurt. And I don't know, honestly, how she really felt about me. Perhaps she felt like I could have done more, or could have been like, there more, because he did have a time where he had a battle with cancer, and I didn't know about it. When he finally told me, I was like, okay, well, I'll come there, and help or whatever. And he just said, no, you don't have to come. And my aunt brought that up, and she was like, I'm the one who took him to the hospital, all of the appointments, I was the one, and I did this, that, and the other. And she really voiced her opinion, and I was by myself. I was, of course, around among his family, but I was by myself, if that makes sense. So, yeah, that happened. And then, so after the services, he requested to be cremated. So I was able to grant that wish for him without any problems. But it was really like something to be to actually have to take care of that for him, considering that he just wasn't there for me growing up. He wasn't there when I was bullied. He wasn't there when I was sexually assaulted. He wasn't there to see me at any of my graduations. He missed all of that. But I did not voice any of that to him. No one can say that I ever went off or, had anything negative to say about him, about what he did or didn't do, or, no one can say that I said anything bad or disrespected him in any kind of way. Now, there was one time, okay, when I was about to get married, and I don't know what happened. I think that I was trying to do a rehearsal and he didn't want to come to the rehearsal. And it was like, I went off. I felt some type of way. I really didn't feel supported, to be honest, the way that I felt like, I should have been supported. I mean, to be honest, nobody, in my opinion, thought that it was a big deal that I was even getting married. I think, though, if I really, kind of like dig into it, I think that the siblings were just happy to be around each other, to be with each other. They were a very tight-knit family. And, I mean, as far as walking down the aisle, I guess I can understand it's being as simple as just walking, right? So I can understand to some degree why he didn't want to come to the rehearsal. But when he passed away, I got his truck, a Ford F-150. He left his truck to me. He left a few pennies, a few duckies, and he left his truck. Now, he did not tell me what to do with the pennies that he left. He did not tell me what to do with it. He just said, do something with it. His wish for my life was that I would get into real estate. He always said, baby, get into real estate. Baby, get into real estate. So at some point in my life, I'll probably get into real estate. But anyway, let's talk about this Ford F-150. Okay. The Ford F-150. I got laughed at a lot riding in this truck, but honey, let me tell you something. Okay, I really enjoyed that truck, and it lasts for 12 years, almost 13 years. It lasts for actually, yeah, it lasts for almost 13 years after he passed away. I was able to keep it up and, keep it going. But it came in handy. It really came in handy. I felt like such a big girl in this truck. Okay, I miss the truck so much. I no longer have it, but I felt like such a big girl in that truck, and I felt like my daddy's child in that truck. I tried to hold on to it for as long as I could because I felt like, some type of connection by it being my father's truck. And I wanted to keep it and take care of it because it was the last thing that I had that was his. And I had some good times in that truck, okay? It definitely came in handy because it was the only vehicle I had at some point after my divorce. It was the only vehicle that I had. And I remember going to Christ Universal Temple to hear Farrakhan speak, and I pulled up in the parking lot and everybody laughed at me. This is a photo of the dress I wore when I went to go and hear Farrakhan speak, and I pulled up in my daddy's truck and everybody got a good laugh. They got a good chuckle because, there was some nice cars in the parking lot, pulling up, and here I come pulling up with my daddy's truck. But I still enjoyed the message. I'm glad I got a chance to hear him speak in person. There was some issues with the truck, and I had to figure it out. I learned how to change the locks on the door of the truck. I learned how to change the ignition switch out. Let's see. Of course, I learned how to change the battery of the truck. I was, becoming a little mechanic myself, learning about the truck. I had no other choice, okay? At some point, I had no other choice. I slept in this truck when I was homeless. So after all of the pennies ran out, after all of my money ran out, after the divorce, after I couch hopped and could no longer couch hop, I slept in my truck. I slept in the truck. I rode around the city of Chicago trying to find a safe space to sleep for the night. I would sleep in the truck by night and do hair in my studio by day. I went to the gym in order to change clothes and take a shower. That was definitely a trying experience, but I made it through by the grace of God. There were times when I just almost lost it, but again, I hang on. I remember going to the church that I attend now in the truck, right? So let's talk about the truck. The windshield wipers never worked. So when it rained, I just had to thug it out. In the winter time when it snowed, I had to just be very, very cautious, extra cautious. I never did get the windshield wipers fixed. Let's see. I'm going to post this video of me in the truck when I was going through the homeless period, and this is just a real raw version of how I was feeling at the time. Here goes. Hey y'all, how y'all doing out there? You all are alright? I hope so. I just don't even want to talk to any of you all. Really, I don't want to say nothing to nobody. That's how I feel. Even though I need to say a lot, but I don't want to say nothing to nobody. Period. That's how I feel. Hello. Hello, you all. I hope that you can hear me okay. I just wanted to come in and speak and also provide some type of brief explanation as to why most of my communication has been through print versus speaking orally. I am definitely an introvert, believe it or not. I can socialize, I can speak. There were moments that happened or periods during this journey that I went through that I was not able to speak. I was not able to formulate my words correctly. And also, I'm a better writer than I am a speaker. So that's another reason. And then too, there is a book out, which it's a printed recording of my grandfather speaking, and he did not speak like proper English. He had the Southern accent, and he also had the Southern slang that they had way back in the day. So that kind of propelled me to go ahead and openly and publicly display articulation, if you will, in that manner. Let me say that. So that's a good reason as to why the whole printing of the blues thing came along. But God also asked me to just that part I can't explain. I wish I could explain, but I cannot explain that part. That part I wish I could explain, but I cannot. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, and there are a lot of people okay, so there you have it. The text, the printed text, came from a book that was printed about my grandfather. Had my grandfather speech in it, word for word, as he would actually sound and speak it. It was printed in a book. I don't have a copy of the book. My mother did not get a copy of the book. So I had to push a smile through, even though I was homeless and didn't have a job and didn't know what was next. I stayed with God, though. I stayed with God. I stayed in church. I followed Bible study. I followed the word, and I followed instructions. Maybe not perfectly, but eventually I did get a job. I did get my own apartment, and I got my truck back after loaning it to a family member, and the family member ended up letting the brakes go completely out. Also, the car would not start at all, and I ended up with 23 parking tickets on the truck. When I finally got it back, I got it working, but I got the brakes fixed. I got it working. It was running, but it wasn't 100%. I don't know for what reason or why. It wasn't 100%. It's almost as if, someone had put something in it. Long story short, the truck had caught fire. I think I was trying to jump it off, and then when I finally did get a jump off, the cat just knocked something down. I have to figure out what that is. Oh my God. So I ended up selling the truck to one of those auto tow truck places, like, oh my God, what are they called? A junkyard. Okay, I sold the truck to a junkyard, and that's that as far as the truck is concerned. As far as my father is concerned, I absolutely adored him. My mom saw me crash out on the hotel floor when I got the phone call that he was, had been found and was being rushed to the hospital. So I just cried and just boo-hooed, and she saw that and witnessed that, and I don't know if she felt some type of way, simply because he was never there. Granted, he may have given her, I would say, out of the whole, let me check on this cat. All right, so yeah, the whole time throughout my life, I think she may have gotten, at the most, about $3,000 from him. It wasn't anything more than that. There was no child support. There was no constant payment or anything like that. And I think she felt some type of way. I'm sure she felt some type of way. Because even though he wasn't there, I still showed him the utmost respect. I still wanted a relationship with him, and I still wanted to acknowledge him as my father. Even though he denied me, even though he never came to see me growing up, even though he had nothing to do with my upbringing. He had no opinion. He had no suggestions. He had no course of correction. I still would want a relationship with him right now today if he were alive. My father, I don't recall him ever having an addiction problem. Yes, he smoked marijuana as well. He never used anything harder than that, as far as I know. No one has ever mentioned it. I never saw him. He never said anything to me about using any substances as hard or more than marijuana. As far as drinking, I've only seen him drink beer and then the one drink at the bar that he decided to go to. But whenever I would go to his house, like it just wasn't out in the open like my mom's. Her drinking was out in the open. Her smoking was out in the open. So I knew everything that she did. She didn't hide it. Okay. So that's that as far as my father is concerned. Do I think that my life would have turned out differently if he was involved? Absolutely. Absolutely. I think my life would have turned out very differently had he decided to have a relationship with me, to even call, to even inquire about what was going on with me. Yeah. That's that. Stay tuned for chapter 3.